season?
I think right off the bat, it'll be, where our depth at linebacker. Um, Obviously, we went and got Larry Worth and Stephen Dix, and we know they can play, but we haven't seen it yet. D-tackle would be another thing. Who's going to be two at quarterback? I think that'll take a while, maybe a couple of weeks into spring ball. Then after that, our depth at the offensive line. I like our starters. I like where we're at there. We still battle, I think. Tykees Crawford, we still have to find a spot for him, I believe. I think he's good enough to start for us. We got to figure that out. But other than that, I think not a whole lot of questions. The kicker battle. I think we certainly got to figure that out.
Coach, last year you talked about Landon Jackson putting on so much weight. Is there anybody like that this year that's maybe made big transformations in the offseason?
Trey, yesterday they had a DJ in the weight room, and they were squatting, and our strength staff's so good, and they've done an excellent job. We're obviously as strong as we've ever been, but gaining weight, I think Taylor's put on about 13 pounds. Landon actually is about 275 now. He said he feels better. He's obviously stronger than he's ever been, but he feels better. We don't have many that are overweight, and we have a couple. We have about 5 that come in the morning. They do 2-a-days, basically. Rashad Dubinion is about 95. I'd like him to be about 202, 203, somewhere in there. But other than that, a lot of strong weight, strength gains, but not necessarily sticks out of my mind about, Quincy Rhodes, 285 pounds, looks like he's 240, but until you get up next to him, he's just a big man.
How did you come through summer from a health standpoint, eligibility, all that? Will everybody be ready for camp?
I think most everybody will be ready for camp. Allen, he may not be ready for camp. But other than that, Joffrey Brown might be 4 or 5 days into camp before he gets released with a little bit of a trim up on his car. He's had knee problems in the past. But I think, Zuri Madison we knew, but I'm trying to think about anybody else. I don't think so.
Finding the edge to win the games that are won in the fourth quarter, that's been a big thing for you guys. How do you think you'll go into the season?
Yeah, well, I think a lot of that has to do with how we approach play calling, how aggressive we are on defense. Those are the things that we've gone to, whether you can run the football or not. Obviously, last year we didn't do a whole lot well on offense, and so it was a little bit more of a grab bag. What are we doing well right this moment, instead of maybe staying with what we thought the game plan would be because it wasn't working. I think that has a lot to do with the offensive line and running backs, which I think we've soared up those 2 spots. But you look at it, we lost 5 games by a score and 1-1. And so definitely something that we're aware of. But I think it's just maybe getting a guy that can make a play or being a little bit more aggressive defensively.
Got a bunch of new staffers on the offensive side. They've been together now for a few months, and Bobby obviously is familiar with those guys. How do you think those assistants are meshing on offense?
I like them. I really like Ronnie. Ronnie came in. Ronnie hadn't coached wideouts, and so I was skeptical of whether I should hire him or not. Bobby obviously believed in him, and so I decided to do it. But he's been, you'll have to ask Andrew and those guys, but he's been great with that room. Colby's been a little bit he hadn't been around quite as much, but he's done a really fine job with those guys. And Eric Mateus has been outstanding. What he's done with that offensive line room, from when he got here to right now is pretty remarkable. And it's not just with changing the players, it's with the attitude of the guys, the camaraderie of the guys. Eric's really done a nice job with that.
And now that Bobby's been there a few months, how's that been?
Oh, it's been great. It's been wonderful, and he's helped me with other things too, NIL, head coaching, how we practice, different things like that. We've gone over and how we do 7-on-7's changed a little bit. Not pushy, but perfect. Just hey, have you thought about this? Have you thought about it? Yeah, I thought about it, but this is a time where we want to do that, and we've had a really good relationship. He's been a really good addition.
Coach, how much have you, I don't know if you reflect on the time that you got here to now and stuff, I don't think there are any players on the roster that are here.
None.
And no coaches either. Do you think about that at all?
I haven't thought about the coaching part of it. I didn't know that. Obviously, some of them have gone, moved up Barry, obviously, and then he took Mike as a coordinator, and some of them's moved on. Some of them we asked to move on, it just happens. But no, I really haven't thought about that, Trey. I have thought. I did think about the kids, going into year 5. So I believe we had 2 left, and now we're down to 0. But I really haven't put much thought into it. I don't know what other staffs look like, I really don't. But all of them were good to the university, and that group we had in there early, we went from 4-20 to 9-4, and we can go from 4-8 to something good too.
Obviously, the landscape's changed. You don't usually see a guy that isn't a returning starter or something come to SEC Media Days, but you decided to bring Talon. Just talk about the decision to bring your quarterback.
Well, I think if you asked the team, they'd say take Talon Green, and so obviously I believe he's a great player, a great athlete, but he's a better person and he's a great leader. And I think if you polled the team, who should we take? I think he would definitely be one of the guys that they would say, you better take him, Coach, because he's the man on this football team, and he is.
Sam, you mentioned the attitude of the offensive line and how Eric Mateos has helped change that. Have you seen that with some of the other position groups as well? Maybe the whole team, the camaraderie is different?
Yeah, it's different. They hang out together. I mean, I'm talking about both sides. We had an altercation or 2 in spring ball like you're going to when it gets hot out there. But for the most part, we were very good at practicing against each other. You go in the weight room, they're rooting for each other. Jealousy can divide a lot of things, and I don't think that's in there. I think everybody's rooting for each other, and I know culture, and people talk about culture and all that, but this is as good as it was since I've been here. It's a lot of fun to be around the kids. I think the other thing too is you're handling NIL a little bit different, and not just us, but I think the kids are handling it. I think they have a better understanding of NIL and value of this, and this, and what they can control and what they can't control.
With there being 16 teams in the SEC, the playoff is expanded now, and there's no more divisions. What are your just overall thoughts on this landscape, specifically in SEC?
Well, I think the biggest thing that expanding the playoffs does for you, it doesn't kill your morale, it doesn't kill your culture if you lose a game, even 2. I think there'll be, what do y'all think, maybe half the teams will have 2 losses going into the playoffs. And so it doesn't kill your season, and you can rebound. And that's kind of what we've been talking about since January. We're talking about a day, then we're talking about winning the week, and then we're talking about a day, and then win a week. That's the same thing that my talk will be to the team about, is that we're going to play a game, we're going to have a day, we're going to flush it. We're going to play a game, we're going to have a day, we're going to flush it, and then we're going to move on. Because I think the most concerning, it's not when you're winning, the most concerning is how you handle a loss. And so we're trying to educate our kids about that too, because last year Georgia lost a game and didn't get in the playoffs. Well, they would be in, and so would Florida State, and so would probably Ole Miss, and so would some people that lost 2 games. So I think it gives you a little bit more life to continue to have a good culture and continue to grow if you lose a game.
You guys have had some real brutal schedules, but this year, what do you think of the schedule this year in particular?
Well, we have 7 top 25 teams on the schedule, so it's probably a lot better year than it's normally been. Now, Andrew said it on the plane coming over here. He said, hell, Coach, they got to play us too. And so we do have a good schedule. It gives us more opportunities. It gives us more opportunities to make a splash. And when you play, anytime you play top 25 teams and you win, it's a splash and it's a hit. And so it gives us a lot of opportunities, and that's how we're looking at it.
Sam, you're on your 5th year at Arkansas. I think I got my math right. You're tied for 3rd in terms of tenure at SEC behind Mark Stoops and Kirby Smart. What do you think about that? Maybe what it says about life in the SEC? Well,
obviously it's not very long. If there's 16 of us and I'm 3rd. They pay you a lot of money, and they expect you to win, and hell, so do I, and so does Kirby, and so does, who'd you say, Mark?
Mark Stevens.
So it's a high-pressure situation and all that, but hell, everybody wants to be a part of it. There's a lot of people like to be me. Maybe not me physically and all that, but they'd like to be the head coach at Arkansas. So it's a privilege, and I don't take any day or any time for granted, and we want to make that a lot longer than 5.
Coach, last time you played UAPB in Little Rock, running clock in the 4th quarter, and then obviously you've got Oklahoma State in that 2nd game. I mean, you're going to learn a lot about your team pretty early, don't you think?
I think so. The most important game is UAPB, obviously. We've got to play well. I like the fact that we're playing at night. I like it that we're playing in Little Rock on a Thursday night. I do like that we get a couple of days on Oklahoma State, but that'll be the most important game there. And then, obviously, I think everybody understands that Oklahoma State would be a big game for us as well.
Coach, what went into the decision to rock the pig tie today?
That's a great question. I had another one. I had a red and black one. Y'all like this old school thing right here? And I was in there, and Jamie and I were sitting in there trying to figure out what I was going to do, You got to cover up some stuff, and this was a little wider than the other one, so I decided to cover up a little bit.
Is she going to be watching you today?
Oh, yeah, she'll be watching me. Her and the Latte, my little Bulldog.
This is your 4th time here because, they didn't
Yeah,
have it in 2020.
didn't have it.
So you're kind of like we said, you're a veteran, and you seem like you usually do well in these type, on this stage. Just what are you looking forward to today, being on the big stage?
It's a privilege. You know what I mean? It's I think early I was a little more nervous, than what I am now. But it's a privilege to be up there, and I mean, if you look at it and you look at it, and just like y'all, I mean, it's a privilege for y'all to be here, and you've earned the right to be here, and certainly great at what you do, or you wouldn't be here. But it's a little scary sometimes, we get up there. But I got my speech ready. I won't be too long. I'm not going to be about 8 minutes, maybe max. I got a couple stories to tell, and then roll on to the team.
Are you worried about Nick Savin being on the set with him? I mean, he's been throwing some jabs out this week.
No, I don't think so. I mean, all you can do is either agree or disagree and move on down the road. So, but isn't he good? He's good at what he does.
He said he was calling a bunch of the coaches.
He did.
What was that like, having that kind of conversation with Nick
Well, he just
Saban?
was asking about your team, and he's just doing his homework, trying to ask about what you think about your team and your depth, and where do you feel you're strong, where you feel that you need work, just like your question. And but he's very thorough. I'm sure he's going to be just like that, like he was a coach.
You brought 3 kids who play their ball in Texas.
Yeah.
I guess it was a natural thing for them to come to Dallas.
Yeah, it worked out that way. But when we did that, I think Kyle had told me, hey, they're all from Texas high school, and makes it kind of neat. A couple of them from Andrew says he's from Dallas, and Taylon's not, but Taylon says he is, and so anyway, and then of course Landon being from Texoma, but yeah, it's good to able to bring them back here into the state of Texas.
Last year, you told us about your Spotify playlist, Hot Springs Yacht Club. Did you update it at all? Any new songs?
I did, but I took it offline or whatever it is, because, man,
Too many strings?
There's a lot of strings, but there's a lot of, why has he got this song on there and that? And I thought, oh, hell, I'll just listen to it myself.
So is anybody going to surprise us this year that, maybe didn't make big waves in the spring or something like that?
Trey, I like our running back group. A year ago we were either injured or whatever. And I didn't know who he was going to get the ball to. So you do that and having a hard time protecting, you got problems going in a ball game. But I think Tyrell Reed, I think he, I like Braylon Russell, and I love JJ. I love Jaquinton Jackson. I think our running back group might be the one that, along with the offensive line, I think that group might surprise some people. And of course, you got R-Dub, but I like that group, and I'm excited to see them play.